Welcome to our week of Webisodes. We are celebrating everything about stamping.
Yay! And we're going to start with Teresa's new Stamp Camp 6 DVD.
Right. Wait till you see what we have in store. Come play with us. Well, here it is, all 100 projects, 4.5 hours of video, and 57 techniques.
Wow, it's amazing how much can come in something so small.
It is, isn't it? There are 8 chapters. We're going to kind of dance a little bit through some of them, certainly not all of them, but just to give you an idea. And when you put this in, by the way, this is Mac and PC compatible,
Okay.
so this is a computer DVD. Not the regular kind.
Right, and very easy to use and navigate.
Right. In fact, when you pop it in, it will launch and you'll see several chapters. There's a basic chapter, which is number 1. Number 2 is fun with inks. And this is what you would see, so you can navigate to look at the video, to look at the printed instructions,
Right.
however you want to do it.
Right, and I love that you can click on the project or you can click on the video for the project. That's great.
Right, so we're going to click right here, water bleaching, and then you're going to see the project. In fact, we have the actual project right here.
And I just think this is such a striking card and really very easily accomplished.
Yes.
It's such a beautiful look. Putting on the ink and then lifting off the ink.
Right, and water bleaching is what she called it.
Water bleaching, right. So you're not
Yeah.
actually using bleach, you're just using water to remove those distress inks. And Teresa uses a lot of the Tim Holtz mini distress ink sets. These are actually from 2 different sets, and the DVD tells you all of the supplies and everything you need for this. She started with a piece of cardstock which she stamped and embossed with white embossing powder.
Right.
So that's what you're seeing here. And then she started layering with the inks themselves. So she started with a layer of this beautiful picked raspberry ink, and she went over the whole piece. And then she added on a layer of distress ink, of aged mahogany distress ink. So now you get a kind of a darker color, and it's really kind of a great tone-on-tone look there. She really made sure that it was darker around the flower area. Okay, so when she was all done, it looked like this. So here's a piece that is finished, ready to go. And she already started working on it a little bit, but I'll show you how she did that. I've got a water brush. You can use any paintbrush with a little bit of water and just go in those areas that you want to remove ink. Maybe I'll do a couple of those petals just like so. And then take a paper towel or a tissue or a soft cloth and start removing the ink. Now you can see that it's a different shade when I do this, but it still has to dry, so it's going to get a little bit lighter when it dries, but you can just keep adding and just removing that ink just on the areas that you want it removed.
It is so easy to do.
Right. And when you're done,
yeah.
it's going to look like the card,
Right. After it dries, right.
Right.
It's going to look like this. So just a few swipes of that wet paintbrush and it lifts off the ink, which
Right.
makes perfect sense.
It does.
She also did some flicking of some water in here, and you can see those dots.
And
which
that's
is just,
because of the distress ink. It
Right.
reacts with water, so it's always going to give you a reaction if you add a little more water. Teresa did this on white cardstock, but she did mention that silky papers make the process just a little bit easier.
Right, just
Easier
because
to
of how
lift
it
that
is.
up, right.
Right. Another project, and this is we're going to start, it was chapter 2. We're going to flip to chapter 5, and this is dies and cutting dies. And I
Right.
love this project.
I do too.
I think it is so stunning and so clever, and you can see it right here. So she's done her stamping, but she's also used acetate. And
to a beautiful effect. And what she's got here are the matching stamps and cutting dies. First, I want to point that out. So in the background, you have this beautiful stamp, and if I lift this lower wing of this butterfly, you can see that is the stamp onto the cardstock that's been colored in, and then the acetate was stamped and cut apart.
Right, and colored.
Ink.
So now you're going to go with that. Okay,
Right.
let's show us the inking.
Okay, so here's that piece that was done with the Botanical Butterflies Stamp Set. And then an acetate piece was done separately. And you can stamp on this. You're going to have to use a jet black StazOn or some other StazOn for that. And she started with her Spectrum Noir pens just to color with a lighter color. She colored in the butterfly. So go ahead.
On the cardstock.
On the
Okay.
cardstock, she colored the butterfly in, and she did that entire butterfly. And then you take your acetate piece, and while you're going to stamp on the front, then you want to turn it over, because alcohol inks, that's what is made up of the Spectrum Noir pens, and they will remove the ink if you use it on the front. It'll take off that stamped image, and then you just color in the back. And when I turn it over, you can see that beautiful look. Place it on top of that butterfly, and it's just gorgeous. Just a couple of little zots on the body there, and lift those wings up and crease them, and they'll stay in place.
And she did add some of the black rhinestones in the center of the butterfly, but just notice that it's not heavily colored. It's just lightly colored, that yellow and the pink, and like Gail said, the blue behind the blue wings. But it adds just such depth, and we'll get back a little bit, and you can see this on a side step card, so you've got the multiple layers of the butterflies. And Teresa elected to finish the inside of her card as she usually does. So there we go for that.
Really spectacular results, and you can see how simple that was.
It is, but such a great look. Now this I thought was really a surprise. Teresa calls it a white shadow stamping.
Right.
And this is using the layering, one of the layering stamps. This is layering flowers.
Right.
And she starts with, we're going to go ahead and bring that in.
She starts, well, let me show you first that
Okay.
she used some pigment inks. So the Cat's Eye Q pigment inks, which we use, and I've used these quite a bit, so they're kind of a little messy. We use quite a bit with the layering stamps, and she used 3 different sets. And she also said that really the Misty is a perfect tool for doing this, and I agree. Whenever I'm doing layering stamps, I'm usually using the Misty tool just because it's simple. But the first thing she did was used the white from the basic set, and she used the #1 stamp for the layering stamps.
So that's the solid one.
That's the solid one. You're going to go 1, 2, 3 with those layering stamps. The base is #1, and she first inked it and stamped it in white. And then the next thing she did was she got the next layer from the stamp set, which I think I forgot to grab. Wait a second. No, I've got it here. So she grabs the next layer. So this was the #1 layer. It's the big one. And then you take #2 and you leave this one in place. And normally I would line that up and try to line that up perfectly with the edges of that stamp, that already stamped image. But what she did was she offset it.
Right.
And I'm going to offset it to the right just a little bit, right? Just like so. Then I'm going to use my Misty to pick that up. And that layer she did in an orange. And I think it's going to be this light, or no, it's going to be this nice bright orange here up at the top of the Cat's Eye Q. And by offsetting it like that, what it does is it creates a shadow when you stamp it. So I've got the second layer is that nice orange, and just offsetting it just that little bit makes it look like there's a shadow, a white shadow behind it.
And it's really a surprise at what that white does, and you can see it on the finished project. And so there's a third layer that is into that bright pink.
Right.
So it just works really, really nicely, and so easy to do, and such a different look. Usually with the layering, we're so intent on lining everything up. So to have it off center, I thought was such a surprise.
And not to have to worry about lining up is kind of a nice thing too.
You know, and I realized I didn't show you the inside of the first card, but here it is of the third card. Again, beautiful. Just a little bit more.
I do like the little spattering too, and Teresa does that by pressing a little bit of the ink onto your craft sheet, and then picking it up with a brush. I would spritz the ink with a little water, pick it up with a toothbrush just like this, and go just like that. You can get some little spatters on your
Right,
card.
and she does that quite a bit. And in the DVD, that I also demonstrate that for you. Now we're going to go into a watercolor technique, and I think this is so much fun. In fact, Teresa does quite a few things with color bursts, so it's nice to see some different ways to use one of our favorite mediums.
Right.
And isn't this beautiful? Now that gold embossing is done first and creates all of the different channels that are going to hold the watercolor.
Exactly, they're going to hold that in, and I've got my craft sheet here, and I've got, this is a watercolor paper, so stamped and embossed on the watercolor paper. The next thing you're going to do is add some water to those, and I've got kind of a brush that I think may have been used for color bursts already. It's got a little color on it. I'm going to try not to worry about it too much. Normally, this would be a clean brush.
Do you need a new brush?
Yeah.
This is pretty big, but
it's getting it all red, and I don't, it's going to be hidden, but obviously you can see it's going to be hidden by the technique we're about to do. But
so the idea is you're putting water.
Right, you're putting water just within those petals. We're just going to get that. Oh, I know what it was. This one was done already, and when you use color burst, the little powders tend to go everywhere. So it's probably got a little of that color burst there already. So I have two color burst colors. I have alizarin crimson and violet, and I'm going to start with the lighter of the two, and I'm going to try to be careful to put it just on the center somewhere. Is that enough, do you think? A little more than that?
We'll find out.
Okay, well you did it on the video.
I did do it on the video.
And then I'm just going to, number one, you want to sort of let it scoot around there, and you can use your brush to sort of help it along. And it just fills up those petals nicely, just really quickly. If you want
so
to.
you're getting the color burst look, that very that variation of color.
Right.
But you're able to control the placement of it, which is just kind of the best of both worlds,
yeah,
I think.
That's wonderful. And then the next thing we're going to do is add a little of the darker color, trying to keep that sort of toward the center. Which I do like that. That's a good way of saying it, that you're keeping control of it. Because color bursts can be kind of unpredictable. I mean, that's what I like about it. Gosh, you can look at that.
Go. Isn't that fun?
It is. It's super fun, and I think I would just leave it like that.
Right.
I love that look. And if you need to, you can blot up the excess, but I'm going to leave it just like that.
And just let
dry.
just let
Beautiful.
it go. So there you go. So I just found myself being so amazed for Teresa, and just all the techniques that she has brought forth in this. And you can see how much fun, and I know what you're doing. You're thinking about all the different colors you could do, and of course the greens are the same thing.
Right, beautiful.
And we have another idea that Teresa has given us, which is how to use your embossing folders to make stamps.
Okay, this is I just think this is a wonderful idea.
Too.
This is really cool. Now you're looking at the card going, okay, how did you create that with an embossing folder? Because really, it doesn't feel like a raised surface, it's just a printed surface. So this is how it starts. Here's our embossing folder, and here is craft foam.
Yay, craft foam.
Yeah, you can get this at any dollar store or craft store, whatever you need.
Or from us.
Or from us.
Yes.
Hey, that's right, or from us. Great, that's cool. You've got it all right here in one place. So open up that embossing folder after I've run it through the machine, and this is the look. So you can see that it's been embossed. It goes through pretty easily too. You want to adjust your sandwich so it will accept it. But once you've done that, then you cut out each of those individual pieces, whatever you want to create that stamp. And then I like to use the repositional adhesive, so does Teresa, just on the back of that stamp, just like that. And after you do that, you can attach it to an acrylic block. I already did it to this one, so that's ready to just ink and stamp, and you can get all sorts of wonderful images just like that.
And that's what she's done. So now you can be thinking about, okay, which of your embossing folders will make stamps for you? And as you can see, she's done a whole multitude of them, cut them out, ink them, stamp them, and she's got more on the inside.
So
very,
many different
very
ideas,
fun.
all on the DVD. You're going to get all of this, and you're getting lots more.
And more ideas.
Like this. Look at this.
And more ideas.
I love
but we don't
these.
have time.
We
But
don't
they're
have
on the
time to tell
DVD.
you, but they're definitely, look at them. They're absolutely beautiful. And that is a great first day
is.
of our week of Webisodes.
And please join us tomorrow. We'll have more techniques, more ideas, and more stamping.
See you then.